For this next segment of the tutorial, we'll address the fourth of our input screens, namely the grain marketing screen. This screen is where we will input the current status of all of our grain contracts, including any locked futures contracts, as well as any locked basis contracts. For purposes of our modeling, let's assume that this farmer did a little bit of contracting of grain on the futures, using futures only at the start of the 2023 year. And we have offer an ability to pull up charts back in January. The market price for harvest price for corn on the 3rd. This closed at 606 and 3/4. Let's assume that the farmer sold 10% of his expected crop of corn and also of beans and of wheat on that date. Go back and we'll edit to reflect those contracts that this farmer put on at that time. Again, $19,170 represents 10% of the expected crop. Let's assume that farmer was able to contract that grain at 606.75. Didn't lock any basis yet. There's no contracts on basis. However, we do need to put in an input here for what the farmer will anticipate basis will be for all the uncontracted basis bushels, which in this case is all of them, because he hasn't contracted any basis yet. So here's where a farmer will put in, based on his historical experience, based on the local markets, what would be a reasonable basis to achieve over the course of the crop year. Let's assume that this farmer expects down in southern Illinois near the Mississippi River terminals to realize a 15% positive basis over the course of the crop year for all the corn. So this would reflect 10% of the crop being sold at 606.75 on the futures, no basis locked yet, and 15 cents is what we would expect to realize on our basis contracts over the course of average for the year. Let update, and we'll do the same for our beans and our winter wheat. And let's assume the farmer once again sold approximately 10% of his crop at that market price that was available on January 3rd. We'll enter those. 6680. This will come right off the farmer's contract sheets that they presumably will have available to them. No bushels basis. Assume 15-cent positive basis on beans. And then we'll edit our wheat. And we're expecting 16,000 bushels of wheat. If we sold 10% of that, that'd be 1,600 bushels. Wheat on January 3rd, harvest futures were $7.84. And as we mentioned earlier, the farmer expects to generate a positive 5-cent basis. If the farmer were in a part of the country with negative basis, then here we would enter in the basis as a negative number. But since we're expecting a positive basis, we'll put it in a positive number. And once we hit update, we've now loaded all of our contracts at that moment in time. And we can go back to the dashboard and continue on our final input screen.